Art is stressful. But I did not need to tell most of you that, as I'm sure any artist, whether you do digital art, painting, sculpting, you've all had the exact same thought before. Fuck. Why is this so stressful? But why? What makes something like art so stressful? A lot of people will look at art, whether it's a drawing of your favorite character or a beautiful landscape or even an animal, they will look at it and be simply amazed by it. Some people are fine with just looking at art and are satisfied just with that. But a lot of people will look at art and think, I want to create something too. Hi, I haven't really introduced myself yet, but my name is Puru and I'm a 17-year-old digital artist. I've been drawing since I was around in the 4th grade, and as you can see, this is my first video. So excuse me if it's all over the place. And also, while editing this, I kind of realized that the audio is kind of bad, but I don't really have any mic to fix that, so this is what I'm working with, so please bear with me here. So, I'm going to start off with my experience as an artist and use it as a base for what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. But feel free to comment your experience with art as well, as I know difficulty and stress varies from person to person. So, from the perspective of a 17-year-old artist, I'm going to try to take a dive into what makes art so stressful. Chapter 1: Failing to create a vision. When I first started drawing in the 4th grade, I started with drawing myself in my favorite cartoons, putting myself in the shows as some kind of weird OC. I was just a kid having fun expressing my emotion, my imagination like most kids do. I never really struggled or cared with anything because I just did this all for fun. Here's where the first part of stress comes from. As a kid, I never learned anything when I drew, since I just did it for fun. And as I grew up, I never expanded and learned the basics. I was doing the same thing over and over again. And I mean, yes, I was improving and my art would show improvement, but since I never learned the basics, my art remained mediocre all the way up until today. I never learned how to draw a basic circle. I never learned how to properly place facial features on the face. This is why my faces end up looking like this. And as I grew older, each imperfection I made stood out more and more. But since I've been drawing for so long, I thought it was fine and didn't really need to study, and that art would just come to me naturally. But as time went on, each time I created something new, it just looked so off to me. Everything was wrong, from the anatomy to the poor details to the bad shading to the no background. It all stood out to me like a sore thumb. It stressed me out. I felt like a failure for being an artist for 9 years and still failing at basic proportions. But in reality, it was just because I was not studying anything. This is the leading cause of stress in a lot of artists: failing to put your imagination onto paper, having a vision and not being able to convey it. A lot of artists are so hard on themselves, including myself, and I know a lot of you are too. They will draw something and instantly hate it, being disappointed and say things like they could have done better. It's a lose-lose situation. But it all comes down to the amount of time you spent learning and studying art. Art is a majority a learned skill. There is so much to art. You can't be expected to learn it all right away. So don't be too hard on yourself. Failing to create a vision is a fixed problem. You can change that by just studying art and practicing as much as you can. You pick up bad drawing habits when you start off drawing young, but as you grow with art, I think it's best to take time studying the basics. Even if it's just drawing a circle, learning how to draw a simple circle can take you a long way. But of course, I think you should study basics like anatomy, shading, backgrounds, and make sure to study each of these one at a time so you're not stressing yourself out with a big overload. Chapter 2: Comparisons to Others. As artists, you get a lot of inspiration, not just from yourself, but from others as well. And as an art community, we thrive off each other. We study each other's art and we gain new ideas from one another. But that can come with a lot of downsides as well. I myself, and I know a lot of others, have found themselves getting discouraged when it comes to looking at another person's artwork. But why? Shouldn't we all be proud of seeing someone else do so well when it comes to art? Well, the truth is, there's a lot of jealousy and insecurity when it comes to looking at another person's art. You see someone creating what you want to create, but you just can't replicate it yourself. You see someone else being able to create something that you've wanted to create for so long, but it all comes down to how you view someone's artwork and compare it to your own. Do you view it as something as inspiration, or do you see it as something to put yourself down? I started off by getting angry with myself and putting myself down again and again because I saw someone drawing something that I wanted for so long. But instead of trying to get better, I just sat there and was upset with myself and my art. Art is a learned skill. You can create what you want, but it takes time and effort. If you want to create something just like your favorite creators, take however many weeks or months it may take to learn what you want to do. If you see a beautiful drawing and you want to create that, instead of getting upset with yourself that you can't do it, create a personal vision and start learning step by step. As long as you truly want to improve at art, you can. There's no limit. When you finish a piece of art and you look at it and it's not perfect, that's okay. Every art piece you make, you learn something whether you know it or not. So instead of comparing yourself to others and putting yourself down, use that as motivation to grow. Chapter 3: Trial and Error. When drawing, do you often hit Ctrl Z over and over or leave countless eraser shavings on your paper? But no matter how many times you redo something, it just never comes out right? It's really frustrating, isn't it? I know how many times I decided to scrap an entire art piece just because I kept erasing and I couldn't get something right. Constantly making a mistake, constantly drawing and looking at it and going, this looks wrong, was always such a pain to do over and over again. It's so overwhelming no matter how many times you redo it, it always just looks wrong. But the more time you erase and get frustrated, the more you're going to make the same mistake again. When you fail, take a second to see what feels wrong and slowly retrace and fix that error. Trial and error is a very helpful learning tool. It's one of the best ways to learn. It's also one of the easiest ways to get upset over. So don't get frustrated. Just make sure you take time to look over your art carefully and don't rush the process. Chapter 4: Time. The final chapter. So I'll start by asking, how long do you take to finish a drawing? A day? A week? Maybe even a month? A lot of people feel like they're on a time crunch when they have to draw, like they have to finish a certain drawing by a certain day. While this is true for commissions and professional jobs, we're not talking about that. We're talking about drawing just for fun. Something a lot of artists do is put constraints on themselves to finish art by a certain deadline, but when they approach that deadline, they begin to rush, often missing a lot of details and shading, which are easily fixable if they just weren't rushing. But when you rush, you often give yourself another feeling like art is a chore. You give yourself a deadline, you'll often have to do art with the reason of finishing by the deadline, making art less enjoyable for you. What I believe a lot of artists need to do is just to simply draw. Don't draw to finish something by a certain deadline, whether it's to post on social media or give a commission out to somebody. Just take time to draw for you and enjoy it. I think every artist needs to do that in order to grow and to keep themselves sane. Conclusion. So, we learned that, art can be pretty stressful, but there are so many ways you can go about it that'll make it a little less stressful. I'm still learning how to manage art stress myself. It's something that takes time for sure, but don't think you're going to get it all done in one day. Don't think you're going to be stress-free in just a day or two. It's going to take a while. Stressing over art every once in a while is normal and a part of the process, so don't let it consume you and become unenjoyable. Once again, this is my first video, so I have no idea how to really end it off. And the script I just put. So with that, I wish everyone the best in their art journey. But now, I have some things I want to point out. My mic is really, 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 really bad. I noticed that when editing, but like you can hear the smoke detector in the background. So I'm really sorry about that. I'll figure that out later. And I also noticed that like my voice goes like in and out. You heard the smoke detector? My voice goes in and out like randomly. So like, I'm sorry. I'll try and fix that. But until then, please just enjoy the video. Please. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.